Atma Namaste. The divine in me greets the divine in you. Welcome to this panel discussion. This is a very important discussion, and I think most of you will resonate with it. It is on your inner child, the healing of the inner child. So we need to locate that lost and wounded child. We all need to locate it, and we need to reclaim the abandoned parts so that you can be joyous and carefree once again. No matter what age you are, you can still be a child. Once you can reconnect and reintegrate with the child which is within you, and you can learn how to maintain and develop that connection. So for today, we have with us 4 panelists as well as 1 audience with us. And I'm happy to introduce you to Catherine. Catherine, would you please unmute and introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you, Joyita. So I'm Catherine. I live in New Zealand, and I am a life coach and a root cause therapy practitioner. So, yeah, we work with inner child through the root cause therapy, and it's a very, very, very powerful way of just making things better for you in the day-to-day.
That's great. We shall talk to you again. Meanwhile, I would like to introduce Susan to us, Susan Rumack, who's joined us all the way from Canada. Susan is also the host of the Life Force Activator Tribe. Susan, I would like you to introduce yourself as well as tell us something about your tribe.
Hi, everybody. I am also a life coach. I've been a life coach for 15 years. My specialty is working with HSP, which is highly sensitive persons and empaths. And most highly sensitive people are integrating their inner child all the time. All the trauma, all the experiences, everything that happens to them in their lives gets stored in their memories, in their bodies. And the work that we do is learning to come to terms with that, but not in a therapeutic way, but in a joyful and happy way, and bringing out the very best. So that's my happy place. It's what I do. It's what I love.
That's very interesting, because most of the people are doing therapies, but this seems very interesting. Next, I would like to introduce Diane. Diane, could you please tell us something more about yourself?
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Diane. I am an English as a second language teacher here in Thailand. Been doing it for 4 years and I love it. And I also I've really been interested in personal development topics. And I love this topic of healing the inner child, and that's why I'm here. And I'm so excited to speak about it.
And we are so excited to have you with us.
Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Madhurima. Madhurima.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Joyita, and Sophia, for hosting this wonderful event, and all my wonderful panel members. I'm super excited. I'm Madhurima Sapatri, joining you live from India. I am a freedom soul coach who basically helps people work with their burnout and manage their stress so they don't burn out. But also, if they find themselves in burnout, I help them move through it. So a lot of the work that I do integrates spirituality, because I feel like burnout and spirituality are very similar in the fact that they're very specific to every individual. And a lot of times when I work with stress management and things like this, oftentimes it's the inner child that is kind of hurting with everything that's happening and judging us. And there's a lot of inner work that is involved in the work that I do as a coach. So I'm super excited to be here and share whatever comes up for me right now. And I'm super excited. Yay, let's go. Woohoo.
And with us, we have Sophia, who is our wonderful coordinator, host, mentor, guide, and everything. Sophia, just say a few words before I start asking people something.
So a few words. This is exciting. I'm really, really happy to be here, really happy to be able to put this on. We already have a few people watching us, so everyone who is watching us, you're more than welcome to put in comments be part of the discussion, even if you're outside of Zoom, or you can come and join us on Zoom as we do have a couple of people, or Angela who's with us. So thank you for joining us, Angela, and for everyone out there, come and join us, even if it's putting comments in.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Angela. To ask, if you have any questions, to feel free to ask us. So my question to any one of you is, do you feel that the inner child trauma always happens because of parents, or do the caregivers and society have an equal role to play in the trauma that we might have faced during our inner child? So anybody who wants to speak can unmute. Yeah, Madhurima.
Sorry, can you repeat your question again?
Diane, what I asked was that, do you feel that it is only parents who can cause us a trauma during our childhood, because of which our inner child is hurt? Or do the caregivers or society have an equal role to play?
I need a minute to think about that.
So whom should we go with? I think Madhurima start, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for asking such a wonderful question, Joyita. And I feel like, with a lot of the work that I do, there is this aspect of the inner child, like I was mentioning in my introduction. And I feel like our childhood years, especially, are very young, like around anything under 8. We are basically like a sponge, right? And we absorb everything that's happening around us. So that could be information that we receive from our parents, information that we receive from media, which is right now in every child's hand. Like a newborn baby has a phone in their hands right now. So everyone is consuming a lot of media. And what we do in those formative years is basically absorb all the knowledge that's around us to base our behavior off of, and our reactions and our psychology is built, I feel personally, from all the information that we are gathering. So I feel like the trauma that we receive, and trauma is a very big word. I feel like anything that goes against what we thought was the form or the norm, and we are now going against it. So if we are like, let's be joyful all the time, and our parents like, no, calm down. You can't shout loudly in the grocery store, or you can't do this, or anything that happens against what we thought was the right thing to do, then builds up into a trauma activity, right? If our parents swear and we swear, then our parents are like, no, this is bad, but you just swore, right? So I feel like everything can and probably develops into trauma without us realizing in our formative years, and which is exactly why it's important for parents specifically. Like, I can't speak like society and friends and all these people can't necessarily come out of their particular roles and tell you what to do about something like this. So it becomes very important for parents to then sit down and explain why this is not right. As you can hear, I don't know if you guys can hear, there's a lot of background noise of children laughing and stuff like that, but this is normal for them, right? So I feel like, again, parents are responsible for making sure that their kids understand why something is not right. And they are the ones who are responsible for making sure that they know the right path in the most loving way possible. So while trauma can happen from different sources, at the end of the day, it is parents' responsibilities to kind of make sure that it doesn't develop into a trauma that the kids need to go to therapy for 20 years down the line, and rather it gets solved right pretty quickly. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was an interesting perspective. Sue, would you like to say something?
I'd love to say something. I think that parents quite often have a lot to do with the trauma that children do experience, but I don't think it's fair to blame all the trauma on the parents or the grandparents or the aunts or uncles or the teachers. I think that quite often something as simple as somebody giving a child a sideways glance that looks a little bit disapproving is enough to create an impression in that child that they've done something very wrong and they're no longer acceptable to that person. And as a result, anytime they see a similar look from anybody else anywhere in society at almost any age, that triggers that that response. Now, we've named that response trauma, but sometimes it wasn't really a trauma in the first place. It's just become a memory that every time that memory is triggered, now introduces a new level of that old experience. And the more often it's triggered, the more it becomes embedded as a trauma, as a negative response to a stimuli or a trigger. Does that help to explain it in a slightly different perspective?
Yes, I do. I see things in a different perspective because, you know, we use the trauma and the word hurt. They are very strong and powerful words, but these are memories which are embedded.
Yeah. So perhaps one way for people to soften the concept of the hurt that they feel inside themselves is to take themselves out of victim mode, feeling that they're always being traumatized by somebody or something, and go into, well, this is a memory that needs to be rewritten each time I experience it. And that would be my closing comment on this question for now. And I'll give you more later, I promise.
Thank you. Yeah, Catherine, you wanted to say something. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I agree that as Madhurima said, yeah, I think children take in, especially very young children, take in information from absolutely everywhere. As you say, social media, TV, as well as people around them. And as Sue said as well, a lot of what we talk of as trauma from an inner child, you wouldn't call it a trauma. I mean, I lost my dad when I was 4. You know, that is a trauma. But things that can trigger these reactions in later life, it can be just something small, like if you went to touch something on a cabinet and you were told, no, you can't do that. And that can impose kind of limiting beliefs around the idea that, oh, well, I can't have what I want. It's not okay for me to want something, and I'm not allowed to have it. And so I think Sue was right in saying that, yeah, they're not, a lot of the things that impact us as adults are not necessarily what we would call trauma, but they're attached to a memory, but it's the emotions that are attached to the event. That is what, and I mean, that's what I work with a lot with the root cause therapy. It's about the event happened. There's nothing to change that the event happened, however small or large it was. But if we can detach the emotion from it, then it no longer has the power over us in our day-to-day lives now. Does that make sense? So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I don't think it's purely the parents. I think everyone, everything has a part. And it can be just, like Sue said, just the tiniest little thing that you might think nothing of can take root in your subconscious, and you might not even realize it. Even as an adult, you might not realize what, oh, you know, I always get triggered by X, Y, or Z happening, but I don't know why. And yeah, it's just, you've got that internal subconscious memory and the emotions attached to it, and it triggers you.
I really like what you said, Catherine, that we need to detach ourselves from that particular memory and move on, because we should not let the past have any hold over us.
Yeah, because it's the emotions that are attached to it. That's what keeps us stuck, I believe.
Thank you so much. Diane, would you like to put in your thoughts?
Okay, thank you. It was nice hearing everyone's thoughts on this, and I want to add my 2 points. So I think my first point is in being able to, when you're fully grown, being able to reflect on things that happen in your childhood. And if you have the time to, because the way things are in people's lives, sometimes things don't happen in a timely manner. Maybe something happened if you were 12 years old, and then you don't have the time, or you don't even have the awareness to reflect on it until you're like 80. Like things like this happen. But when you have the time and the awareness to reflect on things, then that's when you can really be able to separate, oh, what is actually trauma versus, oh, maybe this is just what I thought it was, or maybe this was the emotion I attached to it. So that's one point I have. And then the other one is surroundings. If you're a child and you grow up with a lot of love, a lot of just good feelings, good things, not too much struggle or hardships, I think this colors your life. I think it really does. And then if you grew up in a harsh environment, let's say just really low income, or there's a lot of danger around, this also colors your life. So if you have a more positive or easy upbringing, then when you reflect on your younger years, things, even if certain things were traumatic, maybe it won't seem so bad. But if you grew up in hardship and then you reflect, whenever you have the time to, the way things are colored, it could seem horrible. It really just depends on what you grew up in. But yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Wow, we have had such diverse views and opinions on this, and all of them, I really love them. And I would like to incorporate many of these things in my next session for the Inner Child Tribe. So that's it. I would like to ask you guys, would you have any giveaways? Let me start with Catherine. Would you have any giveaways?
I have a it's not exactly a giveaway, but I will do a special price for the the viewers, anyone who is interested. It's actually a 14-day self-love email course.
Wow.
So it's delivered two lessons a day. So I send 7 emails with 2 lessons in each over the space of 2 weeks. And it also comes with a PDF workbook. So it's got all the exercises in there, and it's a fillable one. So you can either print out or do it online, whatever works best. So normally that's $29.95, but I'll do it at $14.95 for anyone who sort of contacts me through this. And yep.
That's great. So self-love is also very important to heal the inner child.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Now that we touched the topic of self-love, I will ask the rest of you about the giveaways later. What, in your opinion, Sue, is how important is self-love to heal the inner child?
I think that self-love is a very important aspect in healing the inner child, because a lot of children did not receive the kind of love that they needed. And different people need different types of love. So some people need to be have the words said to them. I love you. You're good. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. You're all those things. Some people need to be touched. Some people need hugs to prove that they are loved. Some people need gifts, prizes. You're given something to say you did a great job, a trophy in some cases. There are all kinds of ways of expressing love to another person, but each person is unique in how they see love being expressed to them and accept it. So number one, I think a person needs to know what their love triggers are, what their love personality is. And there's a wonderful book called The 5 Love Languages. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the author, but if you just Google The 5 Love Languages, you'll find it. And there are exercises and checklists and whatnot in it. And it really helps a person to galvanize what self-love is for themselves. Now, that's the first thing I think that people need. The second thing that I think people need is is passion. passion for themselves. I mean, you can take baths, you can take Epsom salts, you can walk in the grass, you can do all kinds of things. You can do manicures and take yourself out to the movies and eat good food and drink wine once a week and whatever it is, in order to show yourself how much you're loving yourself. But really giving yourself permission to see yourself as a beautiful, worthwhile person is really where self-love starts, and where the trauma of being a sensitive person, a highly sensitive person, an empathic person, begins to be manageable. So for self-love, I think permission to allow yourself to be kinder and more forgiving and more compassionate of yourself starts first.
Okay. That's nice. Madhurima, would you like to add your 2 bits to whether you talk about self-love or anything else that is very essential to heal the inner child?
Yeah, I mean, I love self-love. First of all, I mean, it's amazing. But a lot of the self-love practices that I give my clients and genuinely benefits them, it benefits them in healing their inner child, is mostly understanding what they love to do as kids and doing that again. A lot of times we have a lot of judgments that others impose on us, and we impose on ourselves that, oh, we can't do this. And I would like to touch upon So's point of giving ourselves permission to actually be in that space of loving ourselves. And so I oftentimes tell them to, and this is something that I recently told my client, was like, write down 7 things that you used to love doing as a child, right? Like, it brings up all the nostalgic feelings of maybe jumping in a puddle of water after rain, or eating your favorite flavor of ice cream, or going to your favorite spot as a kid, going to your favorite park, swinging on the swings. I don't know, write down 7 things that genuinely make you feel excited and happy about. For me, it could be like sitting down in my room under the blanket and reading books with the torchlight on, because my mom was like, no, you can't read at night, your eyes will get spoiled. So I was like, let me spoil it more. So stuff like this honestly brings up so much joy in me. And this is the kind of stuff that I like to do. And I oftentimes tell people, do this without any hesitance. Do this for yourself. You're not doing it to show off to anyone. You're not doing it for other people to be happy with this. You're not doing it for, creating a good vibe for everyone. You're doing this for yourself. So you need to understand that there is no expectations attached and there's no judgment attached. So it's all you. It's for you. Right. And then you can go ahead and do everything. Like, self-love is all about understanding what you like to do and what you love to do. Like dancing in the middle of the night, singing so loudly that your neighbors complain, stuff like this, right? It's things like this that no one can judge you for it. And even if they judge you, you are so strong in that moment that it doesn't matter. So yeah, I feel like for me, a lot of the self-love practices, especially the ones that I tell people when it comes to healing their inner child and reintegrating with it, is oftentimes doing what the child liked to do as a kid. Like, what do you love to do? Let's do that. Let's go. Yeah.
That's great. So Madhurima, that triggered a childhood memory. I think I was in class 5 and we used to have a Friday test, and Thursday used to be a library period. So I remember getting a book and I was dying to read it, and my mom would not let me read because next day what would happen is that I wouldn't get good marks. So my mother had gone off to sleep and I was reading it under the blanket, and somehow she came and she snatched the book and she told me, tomorrow you must get full marks, otherwise I'm going to hit you. Thankfully, I got full marks, though my mother would never hit me, but yeah, it's good. Thank you for, reminding me of my childhood. So we have here a comment from the audience. I find giving ourselves permission to play like no one's watching helps me develop my fullest expression without self-judgment. Play and dance, love it. Yes, absolutely, right? Something what Madhurima said. So yes, you must go and dance as much as you wish to, and I would love to see it without judging you, whoever has written that comment. Diane, would you like to add something about self-love?
Yes. So I kind of want to piggyback off of what Madhurima was saying. I think it's about knowing yourself and the things that you really enjoy doing. Like, for example, If you know that you don't want to go rock climbing, don't do it. There is no reason to. No one is holding you to it. Don't do it. But if you know that you love dancing, if you love singing, if you love swimming, if self-love is even just staying in your room for a day or two. I've gotten to the point where sometimes just being by myself and getting to do whatever I want in my space, it feels really good. So self-love is doing things that make you feel wonderful. Like when I'm if I spend a whole day by myself, I feel refreshed. Like I could be by myself on Monday, go out on Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, but I do need time to just reflect and not be in the eyes of anyone else and relax. So yeah, it depends on what self-love means to you. And then you should do more of that, because I don't think we're encouraged to do more of that, to be honest.
Great. So that lovely comment was from Tega, who is one of our tribe hosts. She gives herself the permission to play like no one's watching. Play and dance. So I would love to see you dance sometime, Tega. And so Catherine, thank you so much for your giveaway, which was on self-love, which took us to another new discussion altogether. So I would, since you are handling this, you are the host of this Life Force Activator Tribe. Can you tell us something that you do in your tribe, which is something which in a way helps in the healing of the inner child?
Well, our tribe is brand new. We're going for our very third meeting tomorrow night. And well, tomorrow night Eastern Standard Time, but I think that, what time is it, Sophia, in AST?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. And tomorrow we're actually going to be playing with energy and tossing it back and forth, so you can actually feel the electricity that you have inside your own body being passed back and forth to other people, or basically tossed up into the air and picked up, and you can feel it on the palms of your hands. So you're proving that your life force exists. Now, bringing life force back to inner child, a lot of times children are asked to present themselves in the persona that their parents or their caregivers or their teachers or their friends want them to show up in. Be somebody that you're not. And life force really is all about triggering the passion that you have inside yourself, so that the electrical energy that you blast out into the world is your own. It's your own signature blend, that it's almost like pheromones, where people see you coming, feel you coming, smell you coming in a good way, and can taste your energy on their tongues without licking you. But an inner child has given away that signature energy. They're kind of flat. They're kind of an inner child who is suffering trauma, who has shut themselves down, has actually shut down that inner force that blasts out and identifies them in the world for the wonderfulness that they have inside them. And everybody has wonderfulness. So Life Force Activators really is all about finding not just the joy, but the electrical current, the life force that brings us all alive and gets us memorable in the world, so that we do exude joy without even trying. We're not trying so hard to be who we are.
It is actually having those, I can feel the electric currents just to hear you speak. So I would love to join your tribe. And,
please do.
It's tomorrow, so I would definitely attend tomorrow. And
fantastic.
I would request anyone, thank you. Anyone who is here, who is there in the audience, who is listening to us, who might have watched the replay, do join Sue's tribe. I'm sure it would be as electrical as she has mentioned. The only thing is you have to feel it. Just listening won't help. So feel it, do join. So Sue, can you
We're going to play with it. We're
Sure.
going to actually play with it. You'll feel it on the palms of your hands.
I would love to play. So any giveaway you have?
Well, it's interesting. I find that that giveaways are wonderful for so many different reasons. I also find that giving away a discovery session where a person brings what it is that they want to learn about themselves or where they're stuck, and bringing that into a conversation one-on-one with it's private, and they have an opportunity to explore with a life coach, meaning me, who happens to be an empath trainer and overwhelm strategist, and managing those sensitivities. We customize it. We make it very personal, and they walk away with a blueprint of the next steps that they want to take, that they're willing to take, and how they can actually make inroads into managing the overwhelm that stops them from being a life force activator. So we aren't turning them into life force activators unless they want to be, but the life coaching around inner child trauma really is what empaths work on in our private sessions. So that discovery session, it's anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. They get an MP3 replay of unedited of everything we talked about, plus a written highlights blueprint that they can follow on their own. They can decide if they want to take one-on-one coaching, or if they want to purchase any of the ebooks that I've written that are do-it-yourself, things that they can just follow along themselves and take as long or as little as a time as they want. So, I mean, my giveaway is the discovery session that is 60 to 90 minutes, and they get all kinds of goodies along with that. And it's free, and the value of it is about $295 US. Free.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
So now I come to Madhurima. Madhurima, would you like to tell us something about any client whom you have helped to, reclaim that inner child, either reparenting or reclaiming the inner child? Any question?
Yeah, for sure. I remember this one client, and honestly, she is the client that I'm working with right now. And it's a very specific journey that she has been on. And I remember speaking to her and realizing that a lot of the work that she needs to do is inner work from when she was young. And a lot of times the judgment she passed on herself was from the inner child judging her. No, this isn't how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to act mature. You're supposed to do this. It was everything that her inner child was forced to be because the situation demanded it to be so. And so every time she tried to kind of let go a bit, or just go intuitively rather than following a set of rules, like this is how you're supposed to enjoy life. This is how you're supposed to do this. This is how you're supposed to do this. Every time she tried to let go and actually go on that journey on her own, there was a lot of friction that was happening for her from within her, right? And so we did a really wonderful meditation together. It was like almost a 20-minute meditation where it was a grounding activity plus actually engaging with her inner child and having a conversation with the inner child, right? So I was like, hey, what's happening? What's going on? What is the inner child doing? What is she saying to you, right? And there is this really cool activity that we do, and I love to do it for my clients, is basically name their inner child, right? Name their inner child, name their higher self, and then have a conversation with X and Y, right? So it's a bit more conversational style. So it's not as, how would you say it? It's not as deeply involved as you would like to be, because oftentimes if you're too in it, too integrated, too in there, it can get a bit overwhelming. So I tried to have a conversation, and after that conversation ended, we had like a set of activities that I wanted her to do. One of them being the 7-step nostalgic process that you would like to do, that your inner child loved to do, and you should do it again. Because at the end of the day, I feel like all this stuff is all about remembering what our inner child was doing and moving through it with a lot of the current scenarios telling us that we should be behaving this way, we should be behaving this way. And so I feel like at the end of the day, you need to rebuild that relationship, with ourself, our inner child, and our higher self, for the people who love to be spiritual enough in that sense. And it's all about rebuilding that relationship by going to the basics. Yeah, like take yourself on a date. What would your inner child like to do when you are out on a date? What would they like to eat? What is their favorite ice cream, without their kids parents telling them, no, you can't eat ice cream after 10 o'clock, you will get cavities. Like, sure, but I want to eat ice cream. Like, I'm an adult. Why am I still following that? Like, I can brush my teeth afterwards. I can take care of myself. So a lot of it is unbridled happiness, right? Feeling that emotion and rebuilding that relationship. So I feel like that was a really monumental moment for me. Just being in that space and guiding her through that meditation was really wonderful. And I had goosebumps while watching her have that conversation. And I was just guiding, right? Like, I was just there as a spectator, right? Like, they were doing the thing, they were doing the work. And so I feel like that was a really powerful moment for me in that coaching container that I had created for her, was just being able to see her rebuild that relationship from the scratch. Yeah.
You're doing amazing work, Madhurima. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would be blessing you for the great job that you do. And any giveaway that you have?
Yeah, for sure. My dogs. I would love to give away my dogs because they love to interrupt every time I am on a call like this. I'm like, okay.
A lot of
A really great giveaway that I would like to give away is I hold a 30-minute coaching session, 30 to 60-minute coaching session that I do with people. And that's all about managing your stress. Anything that's stressing you out right now, anything that's overwhelming you, we walk through it, we figure out a pathway to work through it. And this is usually like $100 to $150 session that I'm giving away for free. It's all so that you can jump in with high intention and zero risk, right? Like, all you have to do is show up. The rest, we'll deal with it. Whatever comes up, we'll deal with it. So I want to create, like, I have a safe space that I'll create for you. All you have to do is show up. If you're going through stress right now, this is your sign. Join a call with me. I would love to support you in this journey and make sure that you can move towards your version of freedom without your own self holding you back.
Thank you so much. So Diane, now it is your turn to speak. So tell me something. You had mentioned in the beginning that you had guided a friend regarding some inner child healing. Is this something very close to your heart, and you like to, tell people to work on their inner child, and how do you do it?
Okay, thank you. So healing the inner child, I want to start with COVID. I feel like at the beginning of COVID, and the more I talk to people, I realize how COVID definitely has its negatives, but a lot of people, it seemed that started to do some kind of healing or some kind of inner work around then. And I think I started taking it more seriously and being more intentional about it. And I started thinking back to things from my own childhood that I didn't like or I didn't understand. And I started writing about it more. And that was one of the ways I got it out, and I was able to look at it and read it and understand it. And then I also started seeing an Ayurvedic doctor around that time. And he made me realize how, when it comes to healing, it's everything. It's not just physically, it's mentally, it's spiritually, it's everything. Everything is involved. So then I realized even more how important it is to go back to your childhood and understand things, clear things out, forgive, and let go. So I feel like I'm at this point where I recommend it to everyone, like, heal your inner child, get rid of all that stuff, and it makes you feel lighter, and I feel better about my life in general, and I've let go of a lot. So it's been great. Honestly, it's been great.
Great. So any giveaways you have?
So I've started writing personal development guides on different things. Like, I wrote one on, well, this would be my freebie. It's on deserving it, and it can be anything you want in your life, knowing that you can have it, you can achieve it. It's something that is attainable. So that would be my freebie, and I've just started writing them. So I can put my email address and then send that over. It's about maybe 3 or 4 pages. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have a lovely audience. Angela, is there anything, Angela, you would like to ask us, or would you like to contribute anything?
Hi, yeah, I'm just, it's interesting in regards to like some of the work I've done around the inner child, like around trauma and how it's stored in the body, and in terms of like, you know, like a gazelle running from a lion, and you know, not instead of like, you know, expressing, like a gazelle will shake for 15 minutes, and the world that we live in today, it's sort of like pressed down, so the trauma gets stuck in the organs and in different parts of the body. And with some of the work I've done, I've tapped in to these, you know, tapped into my body and into these different areas where I'm feeling discomfort or pain, and then it comes up as, you know, a memory or a vision. And I've done some work around freezing the trauma. So freezing it, like feeling it and then picturing it freezing, and then creating like a happy place, you know, and walking from the traumatic experience into the happy place.
Okay. Anyone who is watching us in this session today, in this discussion, do write your comments, anything you wish to connect to, please let us know. So we have, it's live, you may watch the replay and ask us. So I would like to introduce myself. I am Joyita. I'm based in India, and I host this inner child tribe called the Child Within. So I hold these sessions every week, Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. AEST. It will be AEDT soon, I think, but it will be 3:30. So I would request you to join, take a session, see how you feel. I use various tools, both spiritual and energy tools, to help you release your inner child wounds. And I would like, Sophia, would you like to talk about the $1 thing? It's very interesting. So you would explain it better than I would.
Thank you, Joyita, and I certainly would. But before I do, if it's okay, I love what Angela had to say. And Angela, I don't know if you're welcome to come on video if you like, but I'm wondering if any of our beautiful facilitators, and also for our beautiful panelists and our facilitator, Joyita, because of course you're the host of the Inner Child Tribe, do you have anything to comment? Does anyone have anything to add to what Angela was saying?
I do.
Yes, Sue.
So, Angela, what you were saying about the gazelle shaking itself and when it's in trauma, actually physically shaking, or freezing, when you go in and you freeze the trauma and then change it up in your way of thinking about it. What actually is happening in your brain, in your limbic brain system, and this is brain science, it's not Sue making it up, is that your limbic brain, as a survival step, will actually go in and freeze you. It'll just stop you in either mind fog, or you simply can't get your thoughts together to do something to get yourself out of that trauma. And you'll stay there until your brain actually feels that it's safe for you to come back into the world. By then you've had a chance to calm yourself a little bit. When you come back, all of a sudden some kind of strategy will pop into your mind, and you'll be able to move forward. So you're very much on the right track with freezing the trauma as you remember it, and then rewriting the memory of that trauma before you can get it gone. It's a matter of changing the memory so that the next time a trigger for that trauma shows up, the new memory, the new story that you've created is the one that comes to mind. And that's also part of trauma recovery with the type of training that I do as well. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because it was a terrific opportunity to talk about it. And it works. It absolutely works every single time.
Thank you, Sue.
Welcome.
And anyone else, or Joyita, as the host of the Child Within Tribe?
I just said that I have these sessions every Thursday. You can connect to me. You can join very easily. Sophia is giving you all
Awesome.
a chance to join the tribe for $1,
Yes.
and you can join as many number of tribes as you wish to. So we're going to give the details, please. You are better at explaining this.
Yes, I will. So thank you. And I'd just like to thank everyone who has joined us today. And for everyone who is watching, thank you very much for tuning in. As Joyita is saying, if you've got any other comments, any questions, whether you're watching the live or the replay, pop them in the comments, because all our beautiful facilitators will be able to access them, and we can certainly get in contact with you. And also click on the links. All the links for all our facilitators are in the comments below. And as Joyita is saying, you can join us. You can join the Child Within Tribe that Joyita runs, and also the Life Force Activators Tribe. You can join any of our 30 tribes, 30 plus tribes, all of them, just for $1. It's $1 Australian, and you get to try them out for 3 weeks. Come to as many meetings as you like. The Child Within meets weekly. The Life Force Activators meets weekly or fortnightly, Sue? I can't remember. Weekly? Fortnightly? I can't remember. Anyway, they all meet regularly. And you get to try them out just for $1. Then after that, it's just $15 Australian a month. So come and join us now for the foundation. We've got our foundation member special. There will come a time soon where the $15 will go up and the 21 days will come down. So now is the time to join us. Click on the links below, and you'll be able to find out more information on that soon. So thank you ever so much.
I would like to add that though I am a host of a tribe, I have joined many of these tribes and I have attended the sessions. The ladies here conducted so beautifully, and I'm looking forward to Sue's, because I was not aware of it, so I'm going to join it soon. So it would be really good if you can join. Most of them I've joined a lot of them, and they're still, I want to try almost all of them.
Thank you.
I've done the same. I've joined a lot. I haven't been available for all of them, but but I go back and I watch the replays, and that's the beauty of it. If you can't make it, there's a replay.
Thank you. And that is true. And of course, Catherine is also a member too. So I do believe. Yes, Catherine is. Yes, thank you. I forgot about that one. So Joyita, can I ask you a question? I know you're facilitating, but I'd like to ask you a question, and then I'd like to ask all our other beautiful facilitators before we do say goodbye. Do you have one last tip, one last technique, or something that you would like to share that all our listeners, and Angela here who's in our audience, so thank you Angela also for joining us live on Zoom. Do you have one last tip or technique that people can do to really heal, or to really get to know, to connect with that child within, and to heal any traumas, but just to have fun with that child?
The first thing is that we need to realize, whatever be our age, we are all children within. Whatever be the age, 40, 50, 60. First, we need to acknowledge that there is a child, and we need to let the child go free. That is the first thing, acknowledgement. And second thing is that there have been memories. We need not hold on to those memories. We need to forgive. So forgiveness is very important. And forgiving others may seem difficult, but we are not forgiving the person or the circumstance. We are forgiving these events, so that we are free. We need to fly. As children, we want to play, we want to jump, we want to fly. And the only way you can fly is when your weight is light. So we don't need to carry that excess baggage of that hurt, that guilt with us. So the second thing is release. Forget, forgive, and release. And these are the main two tips. And then there are many other tools which we use. But the first thing is to acknowledge. Second thing is to release by forgiving.
Thank you. Thank you. And acknowledging and releasing, yes. And acknowledging it is as you said, the first step. And then forgiving, which, definitely. And of course, everyone can come and join your tribe if they need any more help on forgiving, which we will go back to just before we finish. And what about Catherine? What about your beautiful self? Is there any last words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
Just jumping off of what Joyita said about forgiveness. I think a huge thing that people need to just take away, both for the inner child, but just generally, is the self-compassion. You're always, you can be so lovely to everyone else, you're so lovely to your friends, but it's having that self-compassion for yourself. And also with, again, with the inner child, when you're a child, a lot of things happen to you, and you may not be in a position to actually change the situation that you're in. But as an adult, you have that power, and a huge thing that I think people need to do is put in boundaries. They need to have those boundaries to keep themselves and their inner child safe. And it's something that as an adult we can now do, and we may not have been able to do as a child.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, it's so important to have those boundaries and things, and to help that inner child feel safe and stuff and things. So thank you. And what about Diane? What about your beautiful self? Do you have anything that you would like to share?
Thank you. I want to share, it's already been said, but I think it's a really important point to make time for fun and enjoyment in your life. I know, you can get really busy. You could go a whole month without seeing friends or doing anything that really lights you up. But I think it's really important to make time for fun things in your life. Hang out with friends, go dancing, go to the movies, whatever is fun for you to do that. And then also, as far as healing, this is not necessarily just for healing your inner child, but healing in general. Try out different healing modalities. Like in my time here, I've learned how many different things you can use to heal yourself and which one resonates with you. There's therapy, there's yoga. The Ayurvedic sessions I was doing, I was very shocked. Like I was like, oh, I really like this. And if I hadn't tried it, I wouldn't have known. So try out different healing modalities and see what works for you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that. And it's so true. There's so many different healing modalities. Not all of them work for all of us, but there is something out there for everyone. Thank you. And Maddie, our beautiful Maddie, who joins us quite regularly. I just want to thank you and honour you, Maddie, for stepping in and for joining us on these beautiful panel discussions. So what tip, what technique, what would you like to share for all our listeners?
I feel like one of the biggest thing that's coming up for me right now, I had like a whole list. I was like, yes, I'm gonna say this, but our beautiful panelists already said that. So the biggest thing that's coming up for me right now is just forgiving ourselves. I feel like we beat ourselves, our old selves up a lot for reacting a particular way because we didn't know any better, but we need to understand that that was the best that our self could do at that particular point of time, whether it was survival reactions, whether it was closing ourselves off, or whether whatever behavioral tactics we learned back then that helped us survive, it did so that we could reach a point right now in our life where we are safe enough to actually change and evolve those behavioral patterns and thought processes. So I feel like we need to forgive ourselves for reacting a particular way because that was the best we could do then, and accept it, and then be thankful for it, for keeping us alive. Whatever, big trauma, small trauma, whatever trauma we faced, keeping us alive and safe enough for us to be able to change and evolve right now. And so we need to give gratitude to our inner child and then move forward with the inner child. Be like, hey, that was then, this is now. Let's see what we can do right now so that we can evolve and be in a safer space, in a better and bigger container, without having to constantly be like fight, flight, or run away, or freeze, and all the other reactions that stress brings up on us. So yeah, that would be my tip.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much for sharing that. And of course, for everyone who is watching, as I said, our beautiful Maddie joins us quite regularly. And we'll be back in our next panel discussion in 2 days' time, which is staying present in the virtual world. And just to wrap ourselves up, Sue, what about yourself? What tips, techniques, or anything that you would like to share on how we can heal our inner child?
Well, every expert on our panel has given each and every step that anyone could suggest. One of the things that I do with my clients is I invite them to invite their inner child for a hug. Just a real simple, beautiful, squishy hug. Just open up your arms, say, come on in here, kiddo. You need a hug. And you bring that child onto your lap and you give them that hug. And when they're resting there with their little head on your shoulder, with your arms around them, you say, what do you need most right this minute? What do you need? What you want? And that child will tell you what they need in that moment, and give it to them. Just give it to them. And usually it's just saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. You are my sweetheart. And that's usually what they need, is just that confirmation of love. So a big hug and a whole bunch of love.
And it's so important, isn't it? And so, and makes such a big difference. If I can share too, something that I do quite often is every morning I ask my child, what do you want today? What do you need today? Well,
See,
what do you
you're doing
need?
it.
And it's quite often it's like, go to the beach or hug a tree. Go to the beach or hug a tree or have a bath. And you do whatever you can to make sure that happens. And it's like it develops that confidence, that connection. So thank you for sharing that. And of course, as Joyita has been mentioning, your Life Force, and you have too, your Life Force Activators Tribe, I've just seen that it is now fortnightly. Sorry, Sue, I tend to forget.
It is.
The next one is on September the 19th EST time, and 10 a.m. on September the 20th AES time, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Right. And Joyita's beautiful tribe meeting is on Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And Indian time, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning, I do believe, something like that. Same day. Wonderful thing with time zones. So I'd just like to thank everyone again. And I know I have. And Angela, thank you so much for joining us. And for everyone who's watching us, do come back. Do click on the comments. Connect with these beautiful facilitators. And thank you, Joyita. Would you like to finish it off?
Well, before we do that,
Yes.
Can I just say one quick thing? And I'm sorry, Joyita, I don't mean to jump in on top of you. I am doing a makeup session tomorrow night, and then our weekly meeting, our bi-weekly meeting, is the following Monday.
Okay. Thank you. I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And Joyita?
I always tell people to just go and hug a tree. If you're happy, go and hug a tree. If you're sad, go and hug a tree. If you're feeling ill, go and hug a tree. If you are on top of the world, go and hug a tree, because trees have that life force energy, which they give very happily, very easily, without any expectation. And it just, it's just, it's like a fountain in your heart. In your heart center, you can feel a fountain. You feel uplifted. So yeah, go and hug a tree. That is always what I tell people.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much. And on that note, everyone, let's all go out and hug a tree.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful time wherever you are, and thank you for joining us.